Oh, good. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for if you're tuning in or you're watching this later on YouTube. I'm shooting this, of course, a live video. This is something I just decided to do, and I think I'm gonna start doing this every Friday night. The reason being, I'm talking about all the stuff that we're doing with the Amazing Universe and all of our comic-related stuff. So I decided, hey, maybe I'll just put some stuff on. Um, well, okay, I'm gonna do that one done right now. So I decided I think I'm going to do a show probably like every Friday-ish night, just for me, something for me to do, some fun stuff. I'm shooting it also from Facebook and over here on my other monitor for YouTube, so we can record it and keep it later. That's important. And basically, this is just me talking about amazing comics, some behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't know about. And I decided, hey, let's talk about the world. Let's tell us some other cool stuff. Because this week, while I've been off from work on a lovely vacation, I've just been really focused on what I want to see in the world, what else things I want to do, looking at some of the stuff that I've already done. I would show this to you, but I really can't show this to you yet because other stuff is going on. I can't show you the stuff that I want to show you. Let me just pull it up front. That's better. But tonight, we're going to talk about a very important character uh, in the actual whole setting. And he has a very interesting perspective, and it's a little bit different than any other character that exists anywhere in the Amazing Universe. So before I even had a name for it, the Amazing Universe, there was a character that came up called Cross. And of course, character first name was just an idea and a concept. And the basic idea was this character was a family member of superheroes, but this one didn't want to be a superhero, was actually quite reluctant, and initially didn't have any superpowers. And the whole gimmick that kind of made it really interesting was he'd always tell people, if I've got being a superhero in my blood, I'll get a transfusion, because he didn't want to be that. And this character has evolved over time. And the character he evolved from is a character by the name of Maxwell Cross. Now, Maxwell Cross as a character is very, very interesting for the Amazing Universe. First and foremost, let's talk about his family members, because that's kind of what sets up the whole thing. And people go like, "Oh my God!" So Cross's father is a character by the name of Victory. Victory is the Amazing Universe's first premier superhero. Uh, his real name is Adam Cross. Let me give you some quick background. Adam Cross, codename Victory, well, it's called Victory. White male, German, retired colonel, the former leader of Strike Force One, which is our big Avengers, military group. He's the father of Maxwell Cross, and another character by the name Sigma. Sigma is another member of Strike Force One. She is Hispanic and German, of course. Angela Santos Cross. Uh, we'll talk about that's more Victory's story. I don't want to really get too much into his, but Sigma and Maxwell Cross are half siblings. Let me also give you little more fact about Sigma. She's a tank type character, very powerful, very strong, very invulnerable, and very similar to her father. The best way to describe Victory is put Captain America and Superman together, mash them together, you've got Victory. So that kind of idea, very simple, a very atypical superhero, what you expect when you think, oh, this guy's got powers. And his daughter Sigma also has very similar powers. Maxwell Cross doesn't have those abilities. The history behind it, I'm going to go a little deeper into this, and this will be kind of, you can enjoy it and ask questions and all kinds of stuff. Going a little deeper, Maxwell, and I think this is something else I also should explain. I think I mentioned it before, but I think now that I'm doing the YouTube video, I'll give a little more context to it. The power levels of this world are built on a scale of like a PL0 to PL10. PL10 is like infinitely powerful, blah, blah, blah. A 0 is a normal human being. A PL0, you're normal, me, you, whatever. A PL1 is like an Olympic level, like your Olympic level strength. That's the top of the top you can be. At that point, Olympic level people, they're human, but they're the pinnacle of it. Above that, if it's and it isn't like whole number jump. It's like be like 1.01. Those are superpowered people. On this list, Cross is not a PL0. He's like a PL.5. He has special abilities, but but initially when you talk about him, they're not super powered. Like it'd be like, oh, big super strength, and be excited. They're very kind of subdued. One of his powers. Well, let me tell you what he does. That's actually also important. So I gotta flip back and forth or stuff. Cross is kind of a consultant for any superpower or any criminal organization, not criminal organization, sorry, any police organization to hunt down criminals. He's a profiler. He's, the Texas Marshal, let no man go free. And he has this unusual ability to see the patterns in things. So very, very, very profilerish, very like that. The inspiration for the character actually came from partially Batman. Batman's investigative abilities are also kind of interesting. I always like them. The other stuff about Batman, I'm never a big fan of. Like, oh, he's the best martial artist. He's best. Not all that kind of stuff. But this guy is very much like that. I'm an investigator. I'm going to find you. You can't hide from me. And there's no superpower to that. It's just I'm smart. I pay attention. That kind of stuff. Add on to kind of the character named Chase from a comic book series that DC did. That basically was about a profiler in the DEO and her dealing with superheroes. And she was a direct descendant of the Manhunter. Was it Chase? I can't remember. Or there's some kind of connection. There's some kind of like old school, typical DC old school connection to a Golden Age hero. And this character was very much the same kind of thing. And kind of Cross came out of that mindset of like, hey, I exist in this universe as this non-powered hero who basically hunts down super villains, but also deals with superpowered individuals. And the relationship between Cross and Victory is really incredibly strange because what people don't know, and this is kind of the background history since it's behind the scenes, when Cross was born, they could have genetically engineered him like they did with Victory and mess with his DNA. But Cross's father's like, no, I don't want my son to do that. He's like, this is his first kid. This is also him. And so it's like, it's his first boy. He's like, look, this is who he is. You don't have to change him. And initially the government's like, no, we can do stuff. He's like, no, don't do anything. So they don't do anything to him. Cross basically grows up. His father's not really there a lot. He's being a superhero. He goes with his mother. Cross begins to resent his father for what he is and how people look at him. Like everybody looks at him like Captain America, and he's just like, my father wasn't there for me. So he had a very great relationship with his mother. I haven't decided if I'm going to have his mother pass away or just the marriage fall apart. Victory marries somebody else, has his sister who's a couple years younger than him. I haven't figured the exact age of. Cross. I'm always say Cross is in his, I'll say 30s, 20s, 30s. 30s is better. Like 30s question mark. The other thing about Victory's much older than he looks. He looks like he's in his 50s. He's actually like in his 80s, 90s. Part of his abilities has slowed down his growth, is aging. He's also the stuff he takes. So it's like he looks, 50s, but he's much older than that. So he has a very kind of an older perspective. And you've got, Cross, who is born when he was. I'm not going to give it time because I'm not giving a time period because, like I said, this is Earth, but it's not this Earth, and we're still going to mess with the time a little bit. So, yeah, because that's always trouble. You do characters from World War II. You look back now, World War II was almost 100 years ago. So Captain America's character kind of gets really weird time-wise. That's always a big issue. And I guess DC's handled it a different way, but you understand where I'm going with that. So we've got the situation where you've got Victory and Cross and their relationship, while Sigma and Cross's relationship's a little bit better. That's his sister. She has abilities, but she loves him like a brother. He's trying to really comfort her as a sister, and that's the kind of like closeness relationship. So you got this going on. The other inspiration for Cross was a character that came out of God, I can't think of the name of the book now. DC Comics. It wasn't Strike Force. Good Lord, what was it called? Stormwatch. It's Stormwatch Achilles. Thank you. So out of Stormwatch Achilles, this is a small little run that happened for like 18 issues. The writer of it, there was a big issue that happened with him. So they had to kind of kill the book. But some of the ideas the book came with I thought were brilliant. And one of the ideas was one of the characters they built was this empath. The guy was a military guy, empath. He's from, I keep thinking of the Swedish Army. I don't even know if I have the trades in my bookshelf. I have to look for him. So basically, this guy was an empath, but he was his empathy worked in the worst possible way. He could only receive one specific thing, and he could receive pain. So it'd be like, oh, okay. Basically anyone within within a mile, he would detect the pain they were feeling. And he could shrink it down to like a half mile if he really concentrated, but like generally it was like a mile out. So imagine everybody in a mile of you, you feel every bit of pain they're in. So suppose someone's got a broken leg, you feel the pain in the broken leg. You've been shot, you feel whatever's in a mile, doesn't matter what it is, he feels that pain like it's really happening to him. And he can't really take drugs to cover it. It's not working because it can't numb his senses enough. It's always on. So the guy's an incredibly high threshold of pain. One of the cool things he did was this. I think Juka was the name. I can't remember it so well. Let me see. I'm gonna do something that I don't really want to do, but because you know me, I'm like, oh, I can't remember. So I've got to see Achilles. Jaka. What's that guy's name? See, I'm going to Wikipedia because I remember because once again I can't remember Ian Michael Wright is the guy who wrote it. So Micah Ian Wright. Yeah, he had a little problem. He tried to score some valor that he did not earn. He said he was a ranger. He wasn't. There's a whole big thing with that. The sad part is it was actually a very interesting story that he was building, but he just did some things he shouldn't have done. He shouldn't have done. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but that's another story. So, the character, I can't find the character. Of course you can. When you need to find something, you never can. So, there it is. Juku, and I can't pronounce it. It's Finnish. That's right. It's like this guy with powers were really kind of like, listen, a blessing and it's more of a curse than a blessing. He goes, you can feel the pain of any individuals within 4 kilometers. So easily a mile. So that's painful enough, and that's crazy. No, Andrew, this guy just got the pain. He's like, he's in pain. Oh, you broke your leg? He gets the pain. It isn't like he can pick out where it is. He just receives it all at once. So yeah, that was a kind of crazy ability. I was always like, wow. So there's a scene in Stormwatch Achilles where he goes against the Midnighter. If you're familiar with the Midnighter from Stormwatch, this guy was Batman. He was a Captain Ernst, I think it is, for Batman. The guy was full of cybernetic implants. This guy was supposed to be the ultimate fighter. He was like the god of war, not really, but in proverbial mindset. So like people tried to kill him. He could kill people before it even start. So he runs in this character. And it's a great scene. The guy's sitting there. He's sitting like in a room. I forgot, it's a simple room, and then Midnighter comes in doing the whole thing. It's like, dude, I know what you're gonna do. But you're gonna do it. Da 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 da. Blah 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 blah. And so like Juko's holding this device in his hand. He pushes a button. And the guy's like, "What's that?" And then all of a sudden, Midnighter realizes like, oh crap, my cybernetic stuff's not working. Like none of my cybernetic stuff, and like half his body is cybernetic, so he can whoop ass. So Juko's like, yeah, I turned all your special abilities off. And now I'm going to basically just kick your ass because, the Midnighter was tough because he had all these advantages. Now these advantages are turned off. Now he's just a regular dude fighting a guy who's a well-skilled, well-trained soldier. And you don't know that he can feel empathy at this point. So his guy's using, as he described it so simply, he's like, all I'm using is jujitsu and leverage. And he basically breaks the Midnighter's arms and legs and he just messes him up. At the end of the fight, he tells you, he goes, you think you're so tough? You think you're all, he goes, everything I did to you, I felt also. So it's like, think about that. He's breaking this guy's leg, and he's feeling the pain of breaking the guy's leg to himself. And he still continues to do more damage to this guy. So think about that whole mindset. And I kind of like that idea. I think that's kind of cool. And not the empathy part, which is amazing, but the gadget part. It's like, oh, I got gadgets for these people. Because when you face super tough people like this, you should have cool gadgets to negate them. And there's a issue of Achilles where they go against the members of Stormwatch and the Authority. Sorry, Stormwatch. Achilles goes after Stormwatch and just pastes them. It's like, dude, smart technology and thinking can beat superpowers, and that's kind of how I want Cross to be. It's like I'm a smart thinking guy. I have all this cool tech that I use to defeat these villains I'm chasing down. And by the way, if these heroes ever get up and crazy, I'm ready for that too. So this goes back to the whole patterns thing. This also goes back to another ability from the Legion of Superheroes character, Dawning Star. She can track the path of somebody, and I like that idea of being able to track somebody. But the cool thing about, like I said, about Cross is that his powers are so low on the scale. He, they should register, but for some weird reason they don't. And he doesn't tell anybody he has this ability because he knows, like, if he starts telling this ability, they'll probably try to put him in the same room as his father and the whole thing. And he doesn't want that. He loves what he does. He loves being this kind of investigator. He loves being this kind of this consultant. And he got to go to the school with a lot of the people from these other organizations like Strike Force and Twilight Inc. because of who his father was, not because of who he was, because of who his father was. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, of course!" So he used that knowledge to be a consultant. So he understands the criminal mindset. He's a profiler. And I think that's a kind of cool perspective because everyone who's a reader of the universe, he's the everyman for everybody. He's the guy that looking at the situation, looking at it from a human being perspective. Because I mean, let's be honest, man. When you have situations where you have guys like Superman and Cap and all these gods among regular men, it's hard to identify with them. Yes, you'd want to be Captain America. Yeah, but to be the regular guy in that situation, that's going to be tough. And it's one thing to have your father be the premier guy. Your father's Superman. How do people treat you if your father's Superman? And it's kind of and I think the one thing always interested me like that, it's kind of like with Deep Space Nine. Avery Brooks' character is the emissary. He's a religiously important character to Bajor, and he has a son. So how does a son deal with those kind of situations and how they feel about him? And, I think that's kind of a cool idea because you get to see the perspective of the Superman in the big scale, but you also get to see the son's reaction, how people treat him and how he thinks about that and how it relates to him. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can just do with that from purely cool standpoint. So that's how Cross kind of fits in. And so initially the book's focus, the first book, the book that we're doing, the book that we're setting up to do all this writing, it's really going to be about Cross and the world of the Amazing Universe. And here's something I totally stole this idea. I'm not even going to try to fake this. I stole this idea from Dark Horse Comics. When Dark Horse Comics back in the early '90s, they were doing their own superhero world. They did world's greatest comics, and it was a great simple idea. We're going to do 12 books for 12 weeks for $1 a piece. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I'll pick it up. And this is when books were starting to get to like the $2 a piece. And they made this 12 books, that let you a little taste of each of the books they're trying to do. All 16 of them. Was 16 of them or 12? 16 of them. Yeah, it went for 4 months. Yeah, I think it was 4 months. Yeah, it was 16 books. That's what I remember. But I was like, oh, that's still a good price. Oh, a buck for a book. Maybe it sucked. I only spent $1. Not a problem. At the beginning of each one of these books was a one-page history of the actual world. And it was like this one-page history, did something that happened, and then each issue would have that one page. And when you read all 16, it would be a whole story. So that's kind of how I want to do this book with Cross. The first page is really about the history of the world of the Amazing Universe. And then you get past that, the rest of it's actually the story. And every book that we do is going to be one big page of this hidden story. Because I think the hidden stories about of what worlds, universes make it really awesome for people to get involved with it. I think, Marvel Comics did Illuminati. I always said Illuminati was one of the greatest ideas that Marvel Comics came up with. And I wanted to kind of do something similar to that for our universe. And this is kind of that. And I think it's important that when you have superhero teams, you have them get together and let's talk. And I'm doing this and you're doing this. And this. I think that was a cool idea. I still think it's a cool idea. I'd like to see more of that. I think in comics it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Batman may be doing that by himself, all paranoid, but I think other supergroups would do that. But it's also, Marvel's universe is tied very differently than DC's. But I think it's smart that you do something like that. So we'll expect to see something like the Illuminati in Amazing. It's funny when I say it like that. In Amazing Comics, but don't be surprised. Cross may or may not be part of it. He might be like, a faction looking on the stuff on the outside, but he's doing his own thing. So, but it's important. It's important to watch what's going on. It's important to see what's going on, and we'll just go from there. So yeah, so Cross's story is our story. We're gonna see how it starts. We're gonna probably deal with the main bad guys, which I'm gonna run for a while. I know, you know, because the book is so, we're trying to start out independently of doing the big super duper hero books, because I want to tell from a small man's perspective and then add to it. Kind of, I don't want to say actual feel or whatever, but kind of, I want to build it very similar to what went on with CrossGen's Negation book. You had a lot of different people from all over that cross back and forth that would wind up in this one book for Negation. And there's a lot of interaction between there. You learn more about the actual world as a whole while reading this book. And I thought that was a great idea, and I kind of want to do the same thing with the initial book. I'm initially calling it Amazing Comics Presents. We might come up with another name. If it is, it will be like a, it will be like a 60s, 50s genre, like Tales of Suspense, Tales of Sonic, Strange Tales. They'll have that kind of feel to it, so we have that kind of feel. So people understand this is what we're building from the I don't say low end, but this is starting to the basic end, and then we're going from there and building on top, and building on top, and building on top. So we want to do that, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And then we're going to branch out to do the superhero books. So if you're going to think about this in a big scheme of things, this is our first year. Our first year, we're going to tell our 12 issues, and in those 12 issues, we're going to talk about Cross and how he interconnects with all these different things. And then, like, from there, we'll split off with the 3 more popular ideas, which I think would be Twilight Inc., probably Strike Force 1, and maybe Hex Strike. Because they're all team books. I think it's a great way to build the universe quicker and larger. And then we'll do some, probably some not more than one shot, maybe some limited series with some of the smaller characters. Because I want you to see the big characters, see how they work, see the world they live in, see the villains they deal with, and see how things start connecting back and forth. There's a lot of connections. I mean, that's something that I've learned in reading comics forever, is that you should have connections. I mean, we have, family connections, dating connections, divorce connections, children connections. And there's a lot of, I use the word children, but there's a lot of siblings and a lot of descendants in these books. There, we have 2 brothers, twin brothers, that are on one team that's on Strike Force. And in Twilight Inc., we have a mother who has her young son. I don't want to talk more about that, because I'll finish. I want to talk about Twilight Inc. quite separate, so you can have a separate piece totally over there. You've got other characters who are this so-and-so and that so-and-so character work together, but they don't know each other like that. Like, they don't know there's their heroes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that going on in this book, and that's really the focus. So I think as comics go, and from that perspective, I think we're going to build it very slowly over time and go from there. Right now, we do have a Patreon up. Actually, let me get to it real quick. Give me 1 second. And I think the big difference that we're doing for our Patreon than most, like I said, it's still a $1 Patreon. I'll put a link up in both places so you all can see it, just in case. Over here. It's funny because I always really impressed that you can do both of these at the same time, YouTube and Facebook. Amazing. So this is the Patreon we're doing. It's up and it's ready. Like I said, it's still very, very, not a lot, but we're adding stuff. I'm trying to add something every week. Like Sunday will be my day to release something for the Amazing Universe. We'll do a video probably Friday night, and then Sunday we'll do another piece. And during the week, things will come up. And like I told you all, I'm looking for patrons. That's what we're looking for. Our focus is getting people to watch, look at, evaluate what we're doing, so they can help us out. So we can get people, to help us out and spread the word. Because, the dream is that we will releasing a lot of this stuff for free. And the stuff that people give us the donations for, the $1 for, that's what we're all asking for, is $1. $1 a month. If you want to think of it that way, think of $12 a year will support us for an entire year. That's our main goal. And if we can keep doing that, we can keep doing a free book. We can find other ways to add people on quickly. Because, I mean, I'm doing this out of my own pocket. The reason that we're asking for money is because it helps offset the cost of me doing this. Like I said in the other video, right now we know just to do the artwork is about, it's just going to be $200 a page. That's simple math, $200 or $200 we generate, we make enough to do another page. And like we have it set up that we get to 250, we'll do 1 page a month. Not a lot, but that's what we got to do. For us to get to the point where I'm super happy is where we get 1,000 patrons. 1,000 patrons giving us, that $1, we'll be able to release 1 page a week. And at that point, it becomes something very different. We can get a regular artist on a regular time. We can get 2 artists to work on the project back and forth, back and forth. And that's kind of what I want. I want to get people the ability to work on a book on a regular basis. But at the same time, you don't get them so overburdened when they can't get something out on a regular basis. And then jumping up from there, the ultimate for me, the ultimate piece where I'm like, okay, we're a success, we're going to do something crazy, is we do 5 comic pages. Oh, it says a month. It should be. That's funny. Yeah. It says 5 comic pages a month. It should be 5 comic pages a week, which means I got to edit that. Good to know. But that's something else we're going to be looking into. If I can get 1 book where we released 5 pages a week, I mean, that's awesome. That's a comic book level releasing. And, at that point, honestly, once we get to the 5 pages a week, we'd do another book. We'd want to do another book. We'd start to say, okay, we're going to do another book, 1 release, and then just work up from there again. Because I think that's a fair situation. I think that'll give artists enough time to do work. Also we'll get more artists to do stuff. And maybe out of the 4, let's say it's 5 pages a week. So maybe out of the 5 pages, 4 of them actually the main storyline, and then the 1 is like the hidden stuff that we have in the secrets that we talked about before at the beginning of this. So that's where we're going to go. That's a thought process. That's something I'm looking at. So if you can support us, that's great. I said we're thankful for anything we get because it's helpful for us. And I'm trying to rev this up as soon as possible. Just to give you some more behind the scenes stuff, I sent off an email this morning with a lot of images for designs for Storm Cook. Storm Cook has done a lot of work with me on stuff for my role playing stuff, so he's very familiar in the role playing industry. He does a lot of comic stuff. I wanted Storm to do a lot of development of the looks of each group. I love Storm's work. I think it's perfect. Plus, I'll add them to the Bible of what we're doing. We have, an actual Bible, so people who are interested in working with us can say, oh, okay, here's the Bible. Okay, here's the history of the characters. Oh, here's what the characters look like. You get all that in the Bible, one location. It's all set. Everyone's happy. No problems. That's how we're going to do it. That's the focus. Whew. I guess that's it. So that's it for Maxwell Cross. If you missed the part of this, it's going up on YouTube also, so don't worry. You can check it on YouTube. I'm also going to put it at our Patreon page, where we also put the thread here. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, want to follow us, want to support us, want to spread the word, please do all the things you find around. I'm incredibly appreciative of all that. Like I said, this is a long-term project where, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say like, oh, we want to do a couple books. No, I want to do 10 books in a series per month, putting out, supporting. So we may not be Marvel, and personally, I don't want to be Marvel. Well, I mean, of course, I want to be bigger than Marvel, but also I want to be bigger than DC. I want to be, like I said, I want to be big enough where that I rival Disney. That's the dream, but I think we can do it in such a way that makes it where people still enjoy the stuff, where fans, like I said, I love comic books, I always will, but I think the books now are very different. I don't think they're thinking about the long term of it. I don't think they figured out how to be a 21st century publishing company. I think I've been working on that for the last 15 years by just doing PDFs and understanding that market, and I think that applies a lot to what I'm doing on this. So I want to be the guy that people talk about, the next generation of comic books, not just how they're delivered, because I think free is best, but also finding ways to generate money by doing non-traditional things that will get us interested. I think we'll just go from there. All right, that's it. I'm going to go do some more stuff. I'm still on vacation. So I'm going to enjoy my rest of my vacation, have some fun. I'm sure I'm sure on Sunday I'll have some quick little posts I'll put up in the Patreon. So if you want to find out some more information or check some more stuff out, you can check it out there. All right. As always, thank you so much for watching. These videos are probably going to be every Friday. I don't know if this is going to be the right time for them. It might be later. It might be probably later. But it's just something that you guys can watch, you can take, and then you can watch at your own leisure, as it were, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you all later.